Hey, welcome to Tanya Outside In, chapter 36. Okay. Um, we're going to be learning now basically the details of what it means, Dira B'tachtoinim. We discussed it, we cracked it a little bit in chapter 35, also a little bit in 34. Um, but now he starts to really go to town. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about the Ma'aser Mitzvah and the Inyan of Tzedakah, which is the paradigm Ma'aser Mitzvah. Okay, so Perek Lamed Vav. V'hinei, Midah Zois, Marazal. So, according to the well-known statement of Chazal, Shetachlis Brias Ha'olam Hazeh Hu Shnis'ava Kodesh Baruch Hu Liyois Lo Yidir B'Tachtoinim. The Rebbeinu Shalom, it's a medrash in Tanchuma. He says it's a famous medrash, but it's only famous because of Tanya. Yeah, otherwise it's actually quite an obscure medrash. That the tachlis of the creation of this world is because Hashem had a taiva, nisave, a taiva, HaKadosh Baruch Hu liyos lo dir b'tachtoinim. So, I mean, he's going to unpack the statement for us, but I just want to quickly preface it by explaining what is a taiva. Okay, a taiva is a very specific, um, it's very specific. Um, if you go back far enough for anything that you want, you will eventually hit a taiva. So we use it colloquially, yeah. We say have a taiva for chocolate. Yeah. You don't really have a taiva for chocolate. Yeah. You actually have a taiva for something much deeper than chocolate. The reason why you like chocolate is because when you were a kid, yeah, your mum fed you a lot of chocolate, and now you have this like these neural pathways that they spike that whatever it is they connect when you eat chocolate, and that touches your pleasure. Yeah, so really it's not that you want chocolate, it's that you want pleasure. And the question is, why do you want pleasure? And the answer to that is kacha. That's a taiva. A taiva is when you can't go back to any more reasons. And I'll just say this because it's very important for our for what we're going through in the world right now. What's the Indian of anti-Semitism? Because if you watch online, yeah, the Yidden are constantly saying you're being anti-Semitic, and the Goyim are saying, and the Yidden as well, we're not being anti-Semitic. You're just mamash a bunch of idiots, and what you're doing is terrible. It's not anti-Semitism. It's just you're wrong. Yeah. What is the difference between what we are saying? We are saying you'll be anti-Semitic, and they're saying we're not being anti-Semitic. We're calling a spade a spade. Like, if somebody does something bad, yeah, you can hate them. Why not? So what is this thing about anti-Semitism? You hear what I'm saying? You hear my question? So it's really, it's a beautiful thing to understand in that we have two kinds of love, yeah, in this Bechina. We have an Ava Talia B'dava and Ava She'ena Talia B'dava. A love that is dependent on something and a love that is not dependent on something. And as the Mishnah says, when the love that is dependent on something, when that thing goes away, the love goes away. Yeah? When there's a love that isn't dependent on something, when that love will always be. Yeah, this is what we mean. Although we don't say it, we don't know it, but this is what we mean when we talk about anti-Semitism. When we talk about anti-Semitism, we're talking about what Rashi says in the Chumash when he says that halacha yedua she'esav sonis Yaakov. Yeah, it's halacha that Esav hates Yaakov. So now you've got a love that's dependent on something. You've also got a hate that's dependent on something. You have a love that's dependent on something and a love that isn't dependent on something. Then you have a hate that's dependent on something and a hate that is not dependent on something. When we're calling anti-Semitism, we're talking about a hate that is Eino Talia Badova, that's not dependent on something. See, this is what we mean by anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism means you hate me because I'm Jewish. Now you're going to find reasons. That's what we're referring to. That's called a sina she'ein talu b'dava. That's a real genuine sina. That's a genuine hate. A hate that's dependent on something, that means like you steal my car, yeah, I hate you. You beat one of my children, I hate you. That's not an essential hate. That is a situational hate. That's dependent on something. And the minute you turn around to me and say, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. I don't know what came over me. I apologize sincerely for taking your car. Here it is back. I'm giving it back to you, and I'm going to compensate you for the time that I took it, and the little scratch on the side I'm going to fix up, etc., etc. Yeah. Then my hate for you disappears because it's not essential hate. And that means that if I don't hate you, if I actually love you, yeah, and it's not dependent on something, when you're acting like an idiot, I'm going to be searching for reasons to love you. Like your child, yeah? When your child is being an idiot, you're desperately clutching at reasons to love him or her. You're trying to find you're trying to find that thing that's going to help you love them. Why? Because you love them, but they're being an idiot, so you hate them. Whereas if you hate them, yeah, genuinely an essential hate, then you're going to be looking for reasons to hate them. That's what we mean by anti-Semitism, meaning that there's a hatred, an essential hatred. And now we're going to smile and laugh when we find reasons to hate. Because we don't really know why we hate. It doesn't feel comfortable why we hate, but now we've got a reason. Now it feels very comfortable. And this, oh, what was I gonna say? So, went out of my head. Um, that's why it's halacha Yedua that Esav hates Yaakov. It's halacha. Halacha is eternal. Halacha is forever. So that's what it means. There is no reason to the hate. It's an essential hate. That's called sinas chinam. That's a taiva. That is like you go back and back. So why do you hate the Jews? Well, because they cheat the taxes. Yeah. But what about if they don't cheat the taxes? What about the Jews who don't cheat the taxes? Well, yeah, but they're all the same. But what you're looking for reasons to hate. That's called a sina she'ena tayu b'davar, and that is an expression of the person. And that's what's a tithe. That's what we mean by a tither. There's no reason for a tither. Reasons, you attach reasons to a tither. You have a tither to live. Now you come up with reasons why you should want to live. But really, that's only because you're connected to your mind. If you weren't connected to your mind, you'd be very happy knowing that you don't need a reason to want to live. There is no reason to want to live. You just want to live because that's called a taiva. That's what it means that Hashem had a taiva for a dira b'tachtonim. That is an expression of who he is. So when we know what it means, a dira b'tachtonim, which is a real, it's a very rich subject, yeah. Then you know him. That's what it means to understand a taiva. Like that's, man, how long have you been married for?
How long have I been away from this year?
No, married. How long have you been married for?
Almost 23 years.
Ben, how long have you been married for? Can't hear
Oh,
what?
45 years.
45 years. Wow. So I'm the baby here. I'm married like 21 years. And so I'm assuming you guys have already done this, but I'm getting to the point now where I'm not like I can deal with the fact that my wife wants to get a new shaitel. I might not buy it for her. Yeah, but I'm just like the fact that she cares about like the kids what they wear and that the kids get news like I've kind of like gotten to the point where I just accept it now. Like that's just who she is. That's just her. It's not like because I was for so many years I was like why? And she never gave me a reason because there's no reasons. There's no reasons. It's an expression of her essential human soul, these kinds of things. Now you could go deeper and deeper and why does she like matching and why does she like the expensive ones and why all this kind of stuff, yeah? That you can get deeper and deeper and find. But the point is that you're not dealing with reasons. Like why do you want your room to be painted blue? You're like, I like the feeling of blue, but why don't you want it red? Wouldn't you like it warmer? Or like, why do you like it when the lights are off? I love it when the lights are on. For me, I want it as bright as possible, yeah? And like for some people I know, they like very dark situations. I'm like, why do you're weird, but you're not weird. It's just there's that's an expression of who you are. That's what it means taiva. So when you hit a taiva, when you hit someone's taiva, you're actually learning something real, genuinely real about the person. It's a very, very important idea. So this is what it means, Dir B'Tachtonim, is we're actually discussing Hashem's most essential nature. Okay, v'hinei, loy shayach lefonav yizbach b'chinas mala umata. Now, you can't say it's got nothing to do with, excuse me, higher and lower. Yeah? Why? Ki hu yizbach mamale kwalmin b'shava, because he fills all the world, so he can't be talking about actual spatial higher and lower. When we talk about a dir b'tachtoinim, we're not talking about a lower, like like the attic. Yeah, we're obviously talking about a conceptual lowness, a concept of far from Hashem. What's the farthest thing from Hashem? What's the opposite of Hashem? Can you say that? Does Hashem have an opposite? He does, he does. You have one, I have one. In fact, everyone you know has one.
Are we supposed to say Taiva or something like that?
Ego. Your ego is the opposite of Hashem. That's why it stands for Elokus gone off. Your ego says, I am God. I am an independent, ontologically independent entity. I am God. That's what Paro said. Ani v'afsi oid. He was the ultimate level of ego. Yeah, that's the opposite of God, so to speak. So when we're talking about Dir B'Tachtonim, we're really talking about that level. That's really what Hashem wants, is the ego. He wants our ego. He wants us to give him our ego. Ella, biur inyan, ki koidem shenivra ha'olam. So the explanation of the concept is as well. Yeah, before the world was created, Hayahu levado yizbrach, yochid miyuchad. He was by himself, exclusive and unique. Umamale kol hamakom hazeh, shabar by ha'olam, and he filled all of the space. I suppose the potential space that would be, yeah, where the world's going to be. V'gamata now, even now, kain hu lefonav yizbrach. That's the same as it was. Rak shashinui hu el makablim. The difference between then and now is only from our perspective, not from his perspective. There's a beautiful mashal to explain this. Yeah, hamakablim chiyusav ha'ori yizbach, shemakablim ayidei levushim rabim and masachim, hamachasim and mastirim ori yizbach, that comes through lots of different levels of concealment. So now we believe that we exist, and from Hashem's perspective, there is no creation on this level. יש מקבלים על ידי לבושים רבים לחסכים מסתירים או יזבח כדכסיב כי לא יראני האדם וחי. A mensch cannot see me and live. Meaning that if you were to see him, you would realize that you don't exist. That's meaning if he is reality. So how could you see him and be? You can't do that. That's why Hashem had to put Moshe in a rock and cover him with his hand because without covering him with his hand, which is the concept of malacha, yeah, then Moshe would just be sucked back into the reality, the infinity of the Rebbeinu Shalom, the oneness of Hashem. You can't look at Hashem's oneness by definition because you're not apart from that. So if you were to actually see God, you couldn't see God because you would be. That's what it means, Pircha Nishmasim, that there was that by Har Sinai, our souls left. We died because our souls left us and got sucked back into reality. Because was afilu malachim hanikri chayas. Ein roin. Even the angels that are called chayas, they don't see Hashem. Chule. V'zeu in nishtalshus oilamus. And this is the concept of the downward madrigas of the worlds, where he steps down the energy. In a minute, we're going to say amazing moshul that will help us understand this as well. Hashem. V'yidasim madriga madriga. And the going down from level to level, Aydei Ribui Halavushim, through many different garments, Hamastirim Ha'oev, Achish Memenizbach, that conceals and covers the light and the life force that comes from Hashem Yisbach. Ad Sheniva Olam Hazeh Gashmi, until this physical world is created, Mamash. V'u b'medreiga she'ein tachtoin lamata memenu, and that is the lowest of all levels, and there's nothing lower than it. But in Hester Oiro Yizbrach, on the level of concealment of light, v'choshech, and darkness, kafu mekufa umekupal ad shehu male klipas v'sitra achra, until it's full of klipas and sitra achra, she neged Hashem mamash, loima ani v'afsioid. That's the lowest level, the human ego. All of that was created so that there could be a being that says ani va'afsi oid. Yeah, and that's what Hashem said when he said that he wants the whole world to see the greatness of Hashem by shmeising Paro. That's the point of reality, is that Paro should bow to Hashem. That's what Hashem wants. Why does he want that? I don't know. And you can't even ask Hashem why he wants that, because he doesn't have a reason for that. Because this is beyond all reason. Reason begins in Bria. We're talking about Pre-Atzilus. Yeah, but Atzilus there's no reason. The reason is a function of the intellect, which begins in Bria. That's already something other than Hashem. That's outside of Hashem. We're talking about him himself. So you just say to him, like, why do you want Paro to bow to you? And he'd be like, I don't know. There's nothing to know. There's no reason. You with me? It's such a funny thing to say, but it's so important to understand this, that intelligence begins much lower down. These things don't have a reason. So it's not that he doesn't have a reason for this. It's not like it's unreasonable. It's super reasonable. It's beyond reason. It's not below reason. It's beyond reason. You know. So yeah, this is the model to understand. So from Hashem's perspective, there is no other, which means like this. When you tell a moshul to someone, what's the point of a moshul? A moshul is to get something big into somebody's mind that's smaller. For the Rebbe who's got a bigger mind to give an idea over to the Talmud who has a smaller mind. So what he does is he takes the idea, or she takes the idea, and they enclose it in language and imagery that the smaller mind understands. And then through that way, the smaller mind is able to grasp a bigger idea. Yeah. So now it might not be a smaller mind, it's small in that idea. The reason why he's giving a moshel, it could be the person's a more intelligent person, knows more stuff, but just in that idea. So now conceptually, it looks a little bit like this. you've got, or you've got potentially countless moshalim for every concept. Yeah. Like if the example that I give is, quantum physics. Not that I know anything about that, but the way that when you actually the observer, yeah, affects what's being observed, what's being observed in on a quantum level, yeah. So you could say that number one, the first example would be a kind of ballet, yeah, where you've got a bunch of dancers on the stage all dancing, and when you look at them, they do something different. The minute you turn away from them, yeah, then they start doing something else. When you look at them, they stop. They do, or like when you come into a classroom and the teacher and the kids are misbehaving, and you look at them, they stop misbehaving. Yeah. So now I've just given you two different mashalim for the same idea. So now tell me, in my mind, when I'm explaining to you this concept of quantum particles, am I thinking about ballet dancers or naughty children? Absolutely not. They are completely irrelevant, or you could say they dissolve. The actual imagery that I'm handing the idea to you in my mind, doesn't exist. It dissolves to the idea. The only reason why it exists in my mind is because of you. I know about quantum physics. I understand about how this stuff works when you look at it and how it changes. Yeah, you don't. So I now need, so that you can understand, I need to go into your world and think about the ballet dancers and the naughty school kids. And now I take what I know, enclose it in what you know, and now you can understand what I know because I've enclosed it in what you know. So from my perspective, there is no ballet dancers and there's no bad children. There's just the concept of the quantum, there's just the quantum concepts, the disembodied abstract concepts of quantum mechanics. So that's what we're saying by the Ribbono Shel Olam, yeah? This world is a moshel. What's it a moshel for? It's called the Moshel HaKadmoni. What's this world a moshel for? For him, Yisbarach. He created the ultimate story, which is like that's called a moshel. Yeah, the ultimate moshel is this world, and he is the nimshul. He is giving himself to another through the mechanics of through by way of this world. So from his perspective on this level, there is no world. There's just him. There's you. That's called Am Yisrael. That's called Knesset Yisrael. That's called the Shechina. There's just Kudsha Baruch Hu Shechinte. That's what we mean from his perspective. There's just him, because just like the professor who's giving over the concept in these physical clothes, but he's completely in his mind, the clothes don't exist. There's just the concept. From Hashem's perspective, that's exactly how it's working. That he's giving over this, a um he's giving over the moshel of himself. So what happens to all the garments of this world? From Hashem's perspective, there's just him because he's the Nimshal. Just like Lahavdil by the professor, there's just quantum physics. There's no ballet dancers and there's no naughty school children.
You're really diving in deep to simulation theory here.
This is Kulu simulation.
I realize Tanya is all about the Matrix.
This is 100% Matrix, but it's a little different from the way they say it because we what we're saying is that the only way, see, in the Matrix is you've got the Matrix is run by the Sitra Achra, and they got it nearly correct because they had you saw the film The Matrix, yeah? So they have they have that scene where everyone's in like the incubators, and they've got the thing stuck in the back of their head, and it's sucking out their das, yeah, that's generating the simulation. Is they're all like hooked up to they're all hooked up to the illusion. So you know what is actually they got it really right. It's just this is what it should have looked like actually. It's not coming from the back of the head. It's coming from the front of the head. That's where the das is go. That's how the Sitra Achra is taking the das from the front, not from the back. But the point is the difference between the Matrix and what we say is that the by us, the Matrix is the pros door to the palace. It's the corridor to the palace. And you can't get to the palace without the corridor. By the Sitra Achra, the Matrix is just a way of stealing your das. But the only way of getting to Hashem is through the Matrix. There is no way of getting to Hashem without the Matrix. Because the only way to get to Hashem is through halacha, is through Torah and mitzvahs. And Torah and mitzvahs become manifest in this physical world. So it's actually it's an infinitely different picture of reality, although it's based on the same mechanics. Because to us, the matrix is the interface between us and the creator. And you can't ignore it, or you can ignore it, but then you're ignoring the creator. To us, the way I understand it, is the matrix is as real as God himself. But that's not the matrix. No, the matrix is just an illusion that they're using to steal your mind. But what, man?
Are we real? Are we?
Are we real?
Are we real?
When you say we, what do you mean?
Human beings, us, me,
As an
you.
as an independent
I don't know. I
being
mean,
with
we're
with
just
its
living in
own
God's will. We're just
independent
living in the
agenda.
simulation.
There you go. That now that's how. So you're as real as God. If you're linked in with the
Right.
fact that you are a feature of God, you are a facet of God. You are a detail in His reality. You are as real as Him. The minute you think that you have some kind of independent relevance, you are the least real thing that exists.
Okay.
That's it. Those are the two options, and I mean, there's obviously a gradation in the middle, but that's the
Furthermore, we're just a muscle for this reality that actually exists, and God has created this simulation as a muscle for us to comprehend His oneness. So we comprehend it as wearing clothes and even our halachas and whatnot. But truth is, it's this is just a muscle that has been distilled down to our brain capacity to understand what Hashem is. But he could flip it. It could be something completely different tomorrow, or at the same time, some other dimension. Maybe it's Hashem controlling
That's what we just
some.
said, that the marshal could look in at the marshal could be any but
Yeah,
there,
I'm
there
agreeing.
is but there is more though it's could be that I'm not sure if that's true. I don't know. It could be that it couldn't be a different way. I don't know. I don't know. I definitely heard people explain it that it couldn't be a different way, but the Pasha idea is that it could be infinite different ways. Okay. It's a good place to hold here. But anyway, that's what it means. When we say Dir B'Tachtonim, we are talking about the lowest of all places, which is the human ego. And that is why in Tanya the Benoni is more choshev or more central, not more choshev, more central to creation than the tzaddik. Because it's the Benoni who serves Hashem with ego. Whereas the tzaddik, his ego has gone. There is no ego there. So yeah, okay, to be continued as well, Hashem. Shkoyach.
You remember last year I was working on a piece of artwork during this year.